Hello out there. We're on the air. And hopefully our microphone is working today. Is it? Audio. Sure. Sure it is. All right, we're good. Look at that. We didn't waste 2 minutes of your life today. You're welcome. Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, another day, another edition. 360. In fact, 360 episodes of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. This show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. And it is a pleasure to be with you today. Thanks for being here. This one's titled Bitcoin Will Become Extremely Difficult to Obtain in the Future. And it will. And it will. I got too many cords here. Too many cords. What was I going to say there? Yeah, well, we might as well just end the show because I don't really have much else to say. It's going to get harder to get. It's going to get more expensive to get. And and of course, we need to talk about our foundation here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about everything here. Be the guy, protect the sats, and enjoy the ride. This one might be a little bit more focused on protecting the sats. I might do a little scenario here of based on how many sats you have, what you should be looking into in terms of your security setup. And it changes. It definitely changes from 1 million sats to 10 million to 50 million to 1 Bitcoin plus. And I really want you to start thinking about your Bitcoin as if it's worth about 100 times more than it is today, because that day is coming and it's not too far away. And so I think the time to be preparing for that, the transition isn't going to be smooth. It's going to be very crazy, very chaotic. And I think in chaotic times, you want to be as prepared, ready, and Zen-like, stoic as possible. So that's what we're going to be talking through today. And for the people who here, let me do something here. I got to share this with Nostr first before we go any further. Oh, hey, we got 20 people on Rumble. Rumble. I know I already sent a reminder in the chat, but make sure you press that thumb button over on Rumble. It helps. It helps on Rumble. I don't really care if you like it or not on the other one, but if you're watching on Rumble, make sure you press the like button. Okay, so let's share this with Nostr. Make sure everybody knows we're live so they can show up here and hang. It's hump day. It is hump day. Maybe while we're... oh, wow. Okay. Maybe while we're waiting for it, let me know where you're watching from today. What country are you in? I'm here in Canada, and you have to tell me how the government's doing. I haven't seen or heard from our government in about 3 months. I don't know if they're on summer vacation or what's going on, but let me know what country you're watching from right now. And if you happen to be watching this show later, not live, also leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I like checking the analytics once in a while on YouTube, but it's also nice to hear directly from the people. So yes, throw it in the chat if you don't mind while we get things a little bit under control here. And I want to start with some positive news. That's what I'm trying to get to right now. I'm trying to start with some positive news for today. Where is that? All right, let's go like this. Edit it. Edit the name out of it. There we go. Save and share. How can I share it though? There we go. Okay, sorry. I thought I had this loaded up before, but I guess I don't. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, let's check on the chat. Let's see where everybody's watching from today. What's up, YouTube? If you don't mind, if you're not one of the owners of YouTube, make sure you head over to Rumble. That's where all the action is. That's where the people hang out. We got 30 people over there right now. 5 likes. What? Can't be right. Never mind, I spoke too soon. Rumble's slacking today. Rumble's slacking hard today. Oh, yeah, we got a couple people over in the Zap stream. What's up, Nostr? See who shows up there. And let's get to her. Samantha is here. Samantha Nakamoto. Hi, Jor, Arnie, and Lucky. I don't know where Arnie is, but Lucky's just right outside the window here. I can hear him moving around on the chair. Lauren, good morning, Lauren. Good to see you, my friend. Jake, I got something to show everybody here. Maybe you can see it in the background. Look at this beautiful hat. This is from our guy here, Jake. I got to get in touch with Jake because I was pretty impressed with the hat. So Jake sent me this hat. I don't know if you can see it or not. Beautiful looking hat. Trying to see it myself. Nice B on the front, very subtle. Black on black. And I like this on the back. Signal. It's pretty cool. It's like I don't even know what it is, but it looks really good. It's like a clear plastic kind of. Really nice though. I really like that. Very sharp. And I happened to get number 8 of 21. I don't know why he gave me 8. I don't know what made him think I like that number. 8 of 21. So if you want one of these hats, I don't really know how to sell them or how to get in touch with Jake, but find a way to get a hold of me. Limited edition. Look at that. Even a little sticker. I didn't even see that. From our guy, Jake. I'm thinking this is a sticker. Maybe not. But in either way, beautiful hat. There you go. Find them on Nostr, the Hick. Limited edition. You can get one of the 21 hats. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful hat. And I didn't have time to bend the peak today, but these are the hats that I wear, actually. The hats that I wear here every day, these king hats, it's the same style. So you can find them on Nostr there, I guess. That's the best way to get a hold of them. I don't think that's a sticker. I guess I wouldn't really want it as a sticker anyways, but big shout out to Jake there. So if you want to grab one of those hats, find them on Nostr or get in touch with me. And I'll get you in touch with Jake. So thank you, Jake. I was very impressed with the package, the design of the hat, everything. Very, very impressed. So thank you for sending that. Don't forget to press the like button on the way in. Attention, Rumble. Sketchucation is here. Joe from California says, morning, Jor and family. Good morning, Joe from California. Good to see you, man. Killer's here. Good morning, Killer. Oh, my freaking thing's a little bit out of whack here today. Alvin says, what club should I buy to start golfing? Any kind of clubs. If you're brand new to golf, just get anything you can get your hands on. Golf is expensive enough. You're going to be paying quite a bit to learn how to golf, whether that's at the driving range or the golf course. And once you get a little bit better, then you can invest in some clubs. But you're talking to the wrong guy, because I've had my golf clubs for like 20 years. One of my wedges is like over 20 years old. I still use Nike irons. My woods are from about 10 years ago. So you're probably asking the wrong guy. I do eventually I have some Bitcoin set aside for golf clubs, for new irons, and hopefully some new wedges as well. But I'm being patient. I'm delaying the gratification there. I'm waiting till the sats that I have set aside is the equivalent to the price of a set of golf clubs. So that's kind of how I think about it. But I'm going to make an investment in this one because I want them to be fit properly for my swing and for my game. But again, I've been golfing for 35 years and I've never had a custom set of clubs before. So just start with anything you can get your hands on. There's probably a lot of good golf clubs in your area on like Marketplace or like a used sports store. That's what I'd say to that. Praetorian's here. Good morning, Praetorian. Old school, 2485. Good morning. Scotty. Hey, look, Jor's here. Hi, Jor. Hi, Scotty. Todd's here. Morning, Todd. Meat Smoke. What's up, my good man or woman? But that's it. Nick is here. Good morning, Nick, over on YouTube. Nick, consider joining the real chat over on Rumble. That's where the questions come from. That's where we take everything from, is Rumble. And let me share that with you just in case you're watching this on YouTube and want to join us on Rumble. We're making a Rumble push. And oh, I got to sneeze. Shit. It's hard to get yourself to sneeze on live camera. I've seen it. I've seen it go wrong before. I was watching. I was watching Rabbit Hole Recap one time, and Marty sneezed on there, and a big thing came out of his nose. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, but I felt bad for him. So it's hard to do because I fear of that. But Baz is here. Good morning, Baz. Good to see you, brother. Never sell. That's right. Never sell your Bitcoin. Unless you live on Bitcoin like me, then you kind of have to once in a while. Oh, yeah. I did want to give a couple shout outs here before we start the show. So we had a zap from Paulie D yesterday, 999 sats. I don't think I addressed that yesterday. But Paulie, I did actually get in touch with somebody at Bitcoin Well for you yesterday. And I forget what they said. I'll find it here real quickly. And we need to bring up the Zap King from yesterday. Who was the Zap King? Joshua. Where is this? So this is Paulie. Sorry, I was going to email you yesterday, but I'll just do it live instead. I'll tell you live what's going on from Bitcoin Well. They said, I think the issue stemmed from his low limit. So they increased to be 3,000 a day. The team needs to do a manual adjustment because it's a bill pay. So then they said, I'll get the team to push this out. So hopefully, if they haven't yet, Paulie D, they got things under control there for you at Bitcoin Well. So I don't know if you're here or not, or you're going to be watching this later. I'll probably send you an email if I don't see you in the chat today. But that's the status there. $1.52 with the usual random comment of the day. Rock and roll never forgets. I have no idea what that means. I'm not going to try to figure out what that means because like every day, $1.52. Don't know. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Most comments from $1.52. And that's just the reality of it. That's the reality of the situation. Scotty says, introduced encryption to my wife with the last few days. Start getting her used to the process. As AI improves, as technology improves, as the internet becomes scarier and scarier, you want to have as little amount possible in plain text. And that's what your dealings online, on your laptop, that's your dealings on your phone, everything, Bitcoin. You don't want to have anything in plain text. Plain text is going to get you into a lot of trouble in the next couple of years here as the attacks get worse. So you should, if you haven't yet, start looking into encryption. Bitcoin's based around encryption. The SHA-256 algorithm is all based on encryption and cryptography. And I don't claim to be an expert, especially on cryptography or encryption for that matter. But I do understand the importance of it and the need for it. And so you should be thinking about that. Simple things like using Proton Mail for email is encrypted. Using Signal to communicate with people is encrypted. We're using a spreadsheet for Bitcoin Citadel and our 21 sats that's encrypted. And of course, Bitcoin, keeping your private keys, your recovery phrase, it should be encrypted. It should never be, I shouldn't say never. If you're somebody who's new to Bitcoin and you're just kind of still learning the ropes, it's fine just to have your 12 words on paper or steel. But if you're serious about this, and once your stack becomes a little bit more valuable, you want that 12 words, those 12 words to be encrypted. It's going to be the best chance of not getting hacked or stolen or your Bitcoin sent away. So start looking into encryption. And if you want to learn a little bit about what we offer, the service we offer in terms of encryption, it's kind of our key selling point at Bitcoin Citadel, and especially with the 21 Sats inheritance protocol that we have. It's all based around encryption. And it's going to be the best way to protect your information and your digital assets in the future. So shoot me an email, just put superbacked encryption, 21 Sats, whatever you want in the subject line, and we can just set up a quick call. It's free. You don't have to, I guess it's not free. We do have value for value. So you can be free, or you can, if you got any sort of value from it, you can send some back. But for the most part, it's just an information session with either myself or Craig or both of us at the same time. And we just kind of walk you through it. What's it all about? See if it makes sense for you. And we've had a lot of interest in it in the last 6 months. I don't know how many clients have fully gone through it so far, but lots of interest. And I think it's only going to become more and more popular and more in demand as people start to figure out what it is and the importance of encryption. So you can go to joe@bitcoincitadel.net, or you can actually go to bitcoincitadel.net, and you can see some information on the website about the 21 Sats protocol that we have there. So that's bitcoincitadel.net, and it's pretty good. You're going to want it. I would say if you got more than half a Bitcoin, you should be looking into that today. Not tomorrow. Too many requests. I doubt that. Okay, well, maybe everybody's clicking at the same time here. Huh. Nice. Okay, well, some point, go check out bitcoincitadel.net, or just shoot me an email, and we can, I wonder why that's happening. I feel like that happened last time we looked at it too. Educators works. Huh. Anyways. Baz is currently in Boston. Nice. Jay says, haven't heard from them, but all kinds of bills have been passed. I don't know what we're talking about there. Hey, Zapstream cut out. Fucking shit skis. Frustrating. The internet. I love technology. I love, how much it does for me, but fuck is it annoying some days. Scotty says, isn't Canada part of America? Yeah, kind of. North America. North America. Okay, let's crown our Zap King from yesterday before we go any further. And yesterday was, I think, unless I missed any zaps last night, should double check that. I don't see anything. So with that in mind, we have Joshua, the man. July's Zap King is back on top. So thank you, Joshua. Congratulations for another crown to your trophy case. And we'll see who is going to be the Zap King today. Zap King or Queen, I should say. So thank you, Josh. Big supporter of the show here. The man. Rocking the blue. Yeah, I like the blue. Todd's in Montana. Samuel from Mexico. Moro says Morocco. Well, that probably explains the name there. Morocco, Moro. Great country, great people, shitty government, and economic control. That sounds a lot like Canada. It sounds very similar to Canada, Moro. McWebb in Georgia. Gary in the UK. Do I like Tim Hortons? No, I'd rather drink cat piss than Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons used to be good. Tim Hortons used to be the best, actually. They had the best coffee. They had the best bakery. We used to go there all the time and just hang out as teenagers. I think that was before we could drink beer. But we would always go to Tim Hortons and get a nice cap, hang out, chat. But Tim Hortons has really gone downhill. as of late. And I'm not going to say why or what's going on there, but I do not eat or drink at Tim Hortons anymore. I don't mind the occasional ice cap, but the coffee sucks. The coffee sucks. McDonald's coffee is 10x Tim Hortons, because I'm pretty sure McDonald's actually bought the recipe or whatever the coffee that Tim Hortons was using before. I'm pretty sure that's what McDonald's is now. Could be wrong. Ian's here. Good morning, Ian. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for showing up today. Alex says, buy Goodwin clubs. I've never even heard of that, Goodwin. Okay, well, look at that, Jake. You got a couple people liking the hat. So who's going to get the other 20 hats? That's the question. We got this one's 8 of 21. Who wants the other ones? Backpacker, my man. Good morning, mowing lawns for Sats. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for being here this morning. Little signal for everyone. That's right. That's right. CYM, there you go. Once 14, we got a couple sales here so far. Moro says, that's a really nice hat. Do you make Knott's logo hats? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Reggie's here. Good morning, Reggie. And Backpacker, look at that. Switching to Rumble. Good morning. Mowing lawns for Sats. I appreciate it. And, you know, that's the whole point right now is we're trying to grow Rumble as hard as it is to do. We're trying our best. And we saw reasons why we're doing that last night. Jerry's stream, Jerry Loves Freedom, was doing a stream last night. And YouTube cut him off. Said, nope, copyright material, suspended the stream, had to relaunch. And I think you got a strike for that. So, you know, I'm not going to diss anybody. Again, I love YouTube. YouTube has done wonders for everything that's been created here for me. And so I love YouTube. It's just never a good idea to have all your eggs in one basket, unless that basket, of course, is Bitcoin. But outside of that, you got to spread yourself out a little bit. We talked about the wheel of income yesterday, adding different spokes to that wheel. And the more spokes you have, the less reliant you are on any single spoke. So that's why we're on Rumble. It is harder. It's done my channel a huge disservice here on YouTube, because YouTube listens to everything that I say. Isn't that right, YouTube? And so I don't think they like the recent talk about what we're talking about here. But anyways, that's Rumble. So we got a couple different things going on here right now. I'm trying my best to stay up to date. But yeah, if you don't mind helping out the cause, making it a little less difficult for us here, consider joining us on Rumble. It's free. You don't need to KYC yourself. You just need an email address, and you can be part of the Rumble chat. Mike in Ireland. Good morning, Mike. Good to see you. Yeah, I got you. Backpacker. I figured since it was all caps, and you said you're mowing lawns for Sats. I got you. Hey, there's Paulie right there. Paul, did you see my, or did you hear me there? Sandy says, buying Bitcoin at this price somehow still feels bad because my first Bitcoin were so cheap. Even small purchases jack up the average price by a lot. Yeah, we're coming to a point here where, you know, I probably said this a lot, and I might have said this on Robin's show, even on the episode we did there. But there's going to come a day where you look at your wallet, your Bitcoin wallet, and your Sats holdings, your portfolio in Bitcoin, and it's not going to go up much from there. In fact, you're going to hit a peak here, I think, in the next couple of years. Maybe not in the next couple of years, but it's going to be very difficult to obtain Sats. At some point here, people are going to stop trading their fake, people are going to stop accepting fake fiat for their Bitcoin. At some point here, people are going to stop accepting fake fiat for everything. And that's my whole theory here, is that the real Bitcoin adoption is not going to be driven by us. It's not going to be driven by people requesting to pay in Bitcoin, because it doesn't matter. If I were to walk into a restaurant right now and say, hey, I want to pay in Bitcoin, they'd say, cool, who the fuck are you? We take dollars here, so you can either pay in dollars or you can eat somewhere else. That's the situation today. But at some point, as people realize how fake and illusionary the fiat system is, and the fiat dollar, the notes that are created by the Federal Reserve, once business owners realize how useless they are, they're going to not only accept Bitcoin, but they're going to demand Bitcoin. So that's when Bitcoin moves from a store of value to a medium of exchange. And it can't be a medium of exchange until it becomes a store of value. For that reason, business owners, the people who actually add value to this world, to society, the people who create products and services, they're the ones who run this world, really. Like when it all boils down to it, that's who runs this world, the people who actually create things that society wants. And they're going to realize that the best store of value for their profits and their reserve is Bitcoin. It's not fiat. And so at that point, it's like, why would they go through the trouble of taking fiat, accepting fiat, and having to convert that into Bitcoin? Why not just accept Bitcoin? Why bother with the middleman there? And so at that point, that's what's going to drive the majority of people to adopt Bitcoin, because when they go to their favorite restaurant, or they go to their favorite golf course, or they go to buy their favorite products, and that business is only taking Bitcoin, they're going to have to get some Bitcoin. They're the ones who are going to have to go through the process of converting their fiat or whatever they can at that point into Bitcoin so they can pay for whatever they need. This whole adoption hasn't started yet, but the adoption is going to be driven by business owners, the people who actually create value and sell it to the world. And then the consumers are going to be at the mercy of whatever they want to accept. And why would they want to accept something that can be printed and manipulated and controlled and tracked versus something that can't? Like it's literally common fucking sense. When you think about it in that lens, it's only a matter of time before this thing turns into a medium of exchange, and all businesses are not only accepting Bitcoin, but they're preferring Bitcoin and demanding Bitcoin. And when we get to the medium exchange part of this whole thing, that's when it gets berserk. That's when it goes from whatever we'd be at, 5 million to 50 million. Like it's going to happen pretty fast once it catches some steam, once people, because the word travels fast. I know it doesn't seem like it because we're kind of in our own little bubble here some days, but it's playing out slowly. And just like everything, and we're going to look at the S-curve adoption here and kind of where we are right now on it and how much growth is yet to come, because all this stuff still has to play out. I would argue that we're almost still in the collectible stage, that we haven't even moved into the store of value stage yet in Bitcoin, strictly by the very small amount of people who actually understand Bitcoin. I think a lot of people just see it as internet money, like something that's just kind of a speculative thing, risky, could go to zero still. That's how the public still perceives Bitcoin. And so that's why I really think that we're still kind of in the collectible stage. But again, it's not like we go from collectible to store of value to medium exchange like one day. We just decide that we're in this new phase. It happens. There's a lot of overlap there. So we might even be still kind of in the collectible stage, but also dipping into the medium exchange phase here. And especially with technology now and how decentralized everything is, it has the ability to go viral and catch steam much quicker. So what do we think about that? How do we feel about that? Okay, we got a couple of zaps here we should get to. I see this looks like a Josh zap. which is 8,888 sats. And Josh says, morning from liberal infested Ontario, y'all. A. I like how Josh just throws an A at the end of every comment. Doesn't matter if it fits or not. There's always an A at the end of it. So he mixed y'all, which is a very American thing to say, with A. Morning from liberal infested Ontario, y'all. A. Oh, cripes. And we got a couple zaps here as well from to Arnie's wallet. Somebody sent in 3,333 sats. That's a pair of boobs or a row of boobs. And somebody said, always appreciate your value. That's nice. Sats and nice words. That's how to win me over. That's for damn sure. So speaking of that, yesterday we had a little bit of, we had some haters on the show. We had somebody say that I blab too much and I should basically just get to the meat and potatoes of the show. That was in the chat. I'm sure they're back today and they're maybe quiet today. So that was a piece of feedback we received yesterday, is less bullshit, more meat and potatoes. And then we also got another one here from Pseudo. Some more nice words. Let's see what Pseudo had to say to me yesterday. So the sole fact that you care so much about this thread proves my point. How many times have you talked about TDS? Damn, dude, you also wished Canada become a U.S. state? Moreover, the class of 2020 Bitcoiner, you have nothing interesting to add to the conversation except for trying to sell some sort of cold storage help rather than redirect your followers to a cold card tutorial using a full node. Anyways, you're lame, technically very weak, blocked. So that was some nice guy on Nostr yesterday. And then, of course, the YouTube comment we had. But that's not the point of this. The point of that is after feeling a little bit bad for myself there, not really. You know, I think if you want to be on YouTube, if you want to be talking to the public, you have to take a lot of shit, a lot of nice words. Like there's definitely much more nice things said to me in the chat, in the comments, just in messages and things like that, emails. But you still have to take a lot of shit. But then you get things like this. And I received this message on Signal last night from a friend. And I don't think she watches the show, but she happened to watch the episode with Robin yesterday. And I didn't ask her if I could share this, but again, no name on here or anything. But this was the comment. Looks amazing. I would love it. I will try to make it work for the fiat budget and work schedule, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, they said, listen, Jor, I watched your interview with Robin Sayer. My mind was blown. You're such a great speaker, so intelligent and down to earth. I too am a visionary and resonated so much with everything you spoke about so eloquently. So many unique insights that were extremely poignant. Great proof of work. Thanks for your contribution to the space from one Canuck and one Bitcoiner to another. And I was pretty happy with that. And they had some more nice words later about the channel and everything we're working on. So it's good. You got to have some balance. You got to have some haters. You got to have some lovers, and find somewhere in between there, I think. So big shout out. Those words are really what keep me going. The zaps keep the show going, and appreciate it. I would definitely wouldn't be sitting here without people like that. So I'm okay having some hate out there, but it seems to be well balanced with love. So we'll soldier on here. JPA Cub says, how can I have someone show how to do my first cold wallet storage, doing it for the first time? I mean, there's lots of good tutorials online for how to set up a cold storage, depending on which one you have. I'm happy to help too. We have our Bitcoin Citadel that helps people with their cold storage, or you can just shoot me an email, joe@bitcoincitadel.net. This is what a lot of people have been doing, is just reaching out to me for like, half an hour call. They kind of have everything set up already, but they just want some guidance in terms of making sure they're not doing anything wrong. And so that's a good way to do it. You can set up a value for value call with me, and you can pretty much pay me whatever you think the chat was worth to you. So that's, I think, the way that things should be. That's the way that I've been doing it for that reason. And that's a good way to figure it out. Josh, look at that. In Rumble, Zapstream, zapping, everything. Thank you, Josh. McWebb says a short pencil is better than a long memory. True. Praetorian says, please explain Zapstream. It's like the nostr equivalent of YouTube, pretty much. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It looks like we might be back working now. Maybe. Yeah, it says we're there. It's working now. Like it kind of cuts in and out. Zapstream has been pretty buggy lately in terms of not viewership wise, but like just working. It just randomly cuts out. So we'll try this again. Try this again. There we go. Okay, so Paul says, my limit was never the issue, as each missing payment was under 1,000. I got the same message. They apologized and promised to make me whole by the end of the day. Okay, well, keep us posted, Paul. Tim Hortons is falling like fiat. Yes, it really is. 90s Family says, when you say encryption, are you talking about BIP39? No. I was talking about encrypting your recovery phrase. So when you got your 12 words, you get a Aqua wallet, you get a cold card, you get a Jade. They all come with 12 words, which you can use if something were to happen to your signing device. So if you lost your phone, dropped it in the toilet, dropped it in the lake, you can get a new phone, you can download the Aqua wallet, and you can take your 12 words and put it into your new phone and essentially restore your ability to move Bitcoin. So that's what we encrypt. Instead of keeping those 12 words on plain text, which are a huge vulnerability. If somebody finds those 12 words, they now own your Bitcoin. They have the keys to your Bitcoin. They can move that Bitcoin from your wallet to their wallet. So what we're encrypting there, and what we do in the process, is we take the 12 words and your XPub and your derivation path, your master fingerprint, and any other information that you would like to be passed on if something were to happen to you, or just backed up. Online banking passwords, anything. It's not specific to Bitcoin. It's all the information that you want to be able to access without leaving in plain text in like a notebook or Evernote or Password Keeper. That's all written in plain text. And some of them, are okay in terms of security wise, but that's what we encrypt, is all your digital assets, essentially. It's not specific to Bitcoin. So it's one heck of a service. Oh, Zapstream cut out again. Fucking Christ. Okay, anyways, let's check on Rumble here. Look at this. We got a rant from the Bitcoin Nurse. $5 super chat or a rant over on Rumble. Bitcoin Nurse says, keep up the great work, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Bitcoin Nurse, my man. Or woman, but I'm pretty sure it's a man. Yellow says, hi from the UK. Nice. Hello, Yellow. Yellow Vert. Seeper 6 says, I just found out you exist from Robin's show yesterday. Nice. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here today. We do a live show every day, Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Although I've been a little bit late lately. I don't know why. I'm just having a hard time in the mornings. Don't know what's going on. But anyways, good to have you here. McDonald's coffee is like drinking burnt motor oil unless you brewed it at home. See, I disagree. I like McDonald's coffee. Samuel says, dead Bitcoin, the TikToker recommended your YouTube channel. Nice. Let's check him out. Dead Bitcoin. I got TikTok on my old phone here. I don't have it on my new phone. So every time somebody sends me a TikTok, I just can't open it. Well, they got a decent following on there. I don't, it's all in Spanish though. I don't know if I could even find it here. Books to learn about Bitcoin. Yeah, it's all in Spanish. I'll check that out later. Dead Bitcoin. Nice. Yeah, it looks okay. So Samuel's from Mexico, so that makes sense that it would be in Spanish. People do feel the same about Tim's. Yes. McDung holes is Soylent Green. I mean, unless they changed it, there might be different McDonald's that have different coffees now, but like, I don't know. It's been really good here in Canada anyways. This is McDonald's coffee right now, actually. Sats and Sunset says we have a Dunkin' on every corner here in Massachusetts. Is Dunkin' good? Scotty says the DCA went through today. Okay, let's check her out. What is it today? The 6th? So we got a couple. I think those are from Nostr earlier, though. Okay, so we got 2625 from Scotty, I think. It says any luck today, and it looks like it went through. And then Scotty also sent 99 sats and said, is it really working? DCA was okay today. I think I had a channel drop when I tried to send yesterday, and it spat the... I don't know what that says after that. Yes, anyways, thank you. We got her, Scotty. And DCA from LaughPad as well. LaughPad's in the house. Let's go. Thank you, LaughPad. Thank you, Scotty boy. Hate that for Jerry's channel. Yeah. It's reality though, man. It's scary. It's scary. That's why we're on Rumble. Speaking of Rumble, we got 55 people over there, 27 likes. That's pretty good stats, actually. So we'll take it easy on Rumble today. Morrow says, Jor is 100% right about the plain text and AI. Sometimes search history or sometimes search in your phone photos recognize and highlight words within images, and that's scary. Yeah, you got to be very careful. Like you really need to take a good look at the information, data that you want to keep around, that you want to have in case things go down ever, or AI gets really advanced where they can read different things like photos, like text in your phone. It's scary. It's really, really scary. And I really don't think that people are putting enough attention towards it. So you really need to think about the data that you don't want to lose. You don't want anybody else to be able to access. And you should have a couple different ideas for that. And I think based on how sensitive the data is, you could look into things like a notepad, like a physical notepad to write things in. But again, the problem with that is if something happens to your house or somebody steals it or it burns down, that information's gone. So it's great to have like a copy of it on paper that's not recognizable by computers and cameras and AI. But that can't be your only backup. And I would not put your 12 words in there, especially if you have a decent sized Bitcoin holding. Because again, if somebody comes across that notepad, it's gone. You know how easy it is to recognize 12 words in order from the Bitcoin word list and plunk that into an Aqua wallet and move the Bitcoin out of there? It's not too hard. And so it's something that so many Bitcoiners are sleeping on right now. But at the same time, I do recognize It takes time to understand the importance of it. You first need to see the problem. And I just fear that there's going to be a lot of people out there who have to learn the hard way instead of getting ahead of what's coming here, because it's coming fast. So just think about that kind of stuff, like the information that you want to retain, the information that you don't want other people seeing. It should either be encrypted or it should be written in like a physical notepad. But again, plain text. Somebody comes across your notepad, gone. Burns down, gone. Something to think about. Everybody here should be, if you're watching this in 2025, you might not realize it right now, but you're going to be needing to think about this in the very near future here. AV says, Jor for the score and Arns Begarns. I love that. Timber Crasher, good morning, my friend. AV says, do you think the term sats will forever remain the nomenclature? I don't know what that word is. For smaller Bitcoin fragments, for lack of better terms. Lack of better terms. You couldn't find a better term than nomenclature. I don't even know what that means. No, we spent like 20 minutes talking about this yesterday. We were talking about microsats and millisats. Sats are the only thing that exist on the Bitcoin blockchain, but they will be fractionalized for sure. MK3 says, Fred Krueger thinks there will be no hyper-Bitcoinization. Fiat will be there forever. What do you think? So kind of my theory on this is that I really think sats are going to become so valuable that we need layers on top of Bitcoin for that reason. So I don't know what you'd call that. Like you really have to define what hyper-Bitcoinization is. Because when one sat buys more than like $1 worth of value, then you have to fractionalize on top of that. So that could come in the form of microsats. It could come in the form of other things. I've thought about this a lot in terms of hyper-Bitcoinization and what the world should look like versus what the world is probably going to look like. And in a perfect world, without the bullshit that we've lived through for the last 111 years, I think that the world probably would do very well on a Bitcoin standard, strictly Bitcoin standard. But there's way too many middlemen out there who are going to be distracting people, who are going to be claiming that their coin is better than using Bitcoin, that Bitcoin's too scarce, that there's not enough Bitcoin for everybody, that it's too hard for people to custody their own Bitcoin. Think about the amount of people who literally earn a living from being a middleman that just doesn't need to be there. A lot of people. And so those people are going to fight like hell to maintain their relevance in this world. They're going to continue extracting value from everybody else while adding pretty much zero value. Although I shouldn't say that, because in a world without Bitcoin, middlemen are needed. But the world that we're moving into here, we have Bitcoin now. We have this technology. We have the infrastructure built out. We don't need those people anymore. We don't even need governments anymore. We don't need federal governments anymore. The government's the biggest middleman that exists, the fattest middleman that exists. And the purpose of the government, in my eyes anyways, in the average person's eyes, is to take the tax dollars and spread it out evenly for the right projects, allocated properly for the public. That's what the government has done, taken these payments and then distribute these payments. But the world that we have now and the innovation that we've had, the technology and the abilities that we have, they're not needed anymore. We could completely cut out the federal government and probably nobody would notice anything. So, I mean, there's so much to think through there in terms of incentives and influence, I guess you'd say. So I think that the best case would be hyper-Bitcoinization. I don't think that it's realistic within our lifetime, but that doesn't mean we should stop pushing for it. Nav says, if you looked into the dollar milkshake theory, I feel the dollar will last a bit longer than perceived by us. Well, I mean, that's the other thing that you have to remember is that there's different versions of dollars, right? I'll show you an example here. Okay, just make sure I'm not missing anything over on Rumble. Rumble, thanks for showing up today. Big shout out to Rumble. We got 58 people over there. We got 29 people have liked the channel, liked the show, and it helps a lot. And Zapstream's working again. No, it's not. Never mind. Okay, let's take a look at this. So when I say there's different versions of the dollar, I mean like that there's the Federal Reserve note, which actually I want to show you a video here. Maybe we'll do this first. It's a good timing. As long as I sent it. Okay, send that. Okay, let's watch this first. Okay, looks like we got a super chat here. Praetorian, $2, no question or anything, just $2 support. Thank you, my friend. That appreciate that. Okay, so here we go. This is the question here from the chat was, how long will the fiat dollar last? How long are we going to have a US dollar kicking around? Isn't Bitcoin supposed to dismantle it? But the answer to that is that there's different versions of a dollar, and there's going to be different versions of a dollar. And the dollar that we know today, the US dollar, I wish I had one kicking around here. I used to. But right at the top of the dollar, it says Federal Reserve Note. That's the dollar that we know. Federal Reserve Note. Not backed by anything, not backed by gold anymore. It's issued by the Federal Reserve banks. And the money that we owe, the US has what, 37, 38, I don't even know what it's at now, trillion with a T, $1 trillion in debt. And they're owed to different nations, different countries, the Federal Reserve. But I think that the Federal Reserve has run its course. It's been around for 111 years here. It all started back in 1913 on Jekyll Island, which we're going to watch a video on right now. And if you go back a couple years before that and look at the Titanic and look at who was on the Titanic and who wasn't on the Titanic and who opposed the Federal Reserve central banking system and who was for it. And you can do the math, I think, in your head and connect some dots on your own in terms of whether or not the Titanic was intentional or if we know the full truth to that. And kind of my theory on that is that at the time of the internet, when information was starting to decentralize, was the late 90s. And that's when the movie The Titanic came out with Leo and Kate. And they painted this big romantic story about the Titanic and how everything went down. But it's all bullshit, just like everything. It's all bullshit. So here's a 2-minute clip of what happened at Jekyll Island in Georgia back in 1913 and how we got here.
Jekyll Island, November 1910. 7 bankers meeting in secret to create America's central bank. We just can't call it that.
The 1907 panic nearly destroyed us. Banks failed, fortunes vanished.
We want to control America's money supply, create booms, trigger busts, and profit from both. And how will we do that?
We'll create money from nothing, loan it to the government, and charge interest. Legal counterfeiting, my friends.
But there's a cost. Every dollar we print steals value from existing dollars. It's a hidden tax that flows directly to us.
And it gets worse. If we ever get off the gold standard, governments can print money for wars. Endless wars become possible and profitable.
Since Americans hate central banks, we'll call it the Federal Reserve. Sounds governmental, doesn't it?
It's not. The president will appoint board members, but we'll pick who he appoints. We'll have 12 regional banks. Looks decentralized, democratic even. But New York banks control them all. That's us.
You're probably wondering how we're going to get this through Congress. December 23rd, 1913. Most of Congress home for Christmas. Perfect timing for passing unpopular legislation. I'll publicly oppose our own bill in Congress. They'll pass it thinking they beat Wall Street. We'll fund university chairs, write the textbooks. They'll teach our system as economic science. Beautiful. Every American born after this will inherit debt on money we created from nothing. Generational servitude. The Federal Reserve. Not federal, no reserves. But everyone will think it's their government protecting them.
Good afternoon.
Jekyll Island, November 1910. 7 bankers.
So that's how it all happened. So actually, I kind of misspoke there at the start. I said that this happened in 1913, but Jekyll Island was actually 1910. Titanic, 1911. Creation of the Federal Reserve, 1913. And 2025, 111 years of fiat slavery. Although I think for the first like 20 years up until the 30s, I think it was Bretton Woods. Up until then, the currency was actually backed by gold. So in that world, from like 1913 to 1930, whenever that was, like that's a legitimate system to me. When you have an asset like gold that's scarce and hard, and you have notes, I guess that's what they called them, notes, that basically give you a claim to that gold at the bank and you can exchange with others very easily, that system makes sense to me. It does, because it doesn't really make sense for people to carry a bunch of gold around in their pockets or store gold in their backyard. Like you can have trusted parties as long as you trust them and as long as they actually have the reserves, they can keep the assets and you can use notes to exchange back and forth. And really, when you think about it, that's kind of what the Lightning Network is right now, where you take this asset, which is Bitcoin, off of layer 1, you move it onto layer 2, which is the Lightning Network. So there's the reserves, and then you can send it around very quickly and efficiently, cheaply. And so that system actually makes a lot of sense. Instead of actually having to have the asset and carry it around or store it, if you can trust the third party there, which we don't have to with Bitcoin, but that system actually makes sense. And that's why I say not all dollars are created equally. Because if you look at what's, I think, in my opinion, about to play out here in the next few years, is the US government, the US Treasury, is actually going to issue their own dollar. And it's actually going to be backed by energy. I think it's going to be backed by Bitcoin, gold, and some other resources that the US has. And so with that, because we have Bitcoin now, you don't have to trust anymore, right? Let's say that the US government came out and said that they had 500,000 Bitcoin. And they set up a website where you could see the Bitcoin addresses. It would be verifiable by everybody. El Salvador is already doing this. This isn't new. So you could have that, and you could actually have a treasury dollar that's backed by gold and Bitcoin and actually something. And that dollar is much different to me than the Federal Reserve dollar, because the Federal Reserve dollar is literally backed by nothing. They can create more, they can add a zero to it without actually having to put in any sort of work or energy into that. If you want to get Bitcoin, you can do one of two things. You can either plug in a miner and try to win a reward or be part of a pool. So you're taking real life energy, plugging it into the wall, letting your miner spin computations and spin guesses to try to compete for the next Bitcoin block. That's one way to do it. Or you can trade value that you've already created to the world. So that's I think the weird thing that's going to happen soon, and what's really going to drive up the price of Bitcoin, is when all these different countries who have the ability to create money start exchanging that for Bitcoin. What happens? What happens then? There's going to be so much fake money flying into Bitcoin that the price is just going to go through the roof. And the average person isn't going to be able to get any sort of amount of sats, which is shitty. But at the same time, if you think about the incentives here and kind of what we talked about at the start of the show here, is like the people creating value for society, they're the ones who are actually going to see the reward for this as this whole thing plays out. And so if you look at a country like China, for example, they do a lot of manufacturing and a lot of important manufacturing. In Taiwan, they make silicone chips, which run our whole world now. And China has all of our medical products. They create all those. So it's a huge deal. And you have to understand what's going to play out here. As these countries and businesses realize their importance, how important their products and services are to the world, what are they going to want? Are they going to want fake dollars that somebody else can print? Or are they going to want Bitcoin? And so let's just play through an example here of China having I would say the market share of the medical devices and medical products of this world. They export a lot of medical products to the world. So let's say that China decided that, we don't want the US dollar anymore. Everything else is just kind of fake because it can be printed out of nothing. So we want Bitcoin instead. We're only going to accept Bitcoin for our products. Or you look at somebody like Saudi Arabia, who has a bunch of oil, and they say the same thing. We don't want to be using the petrodollar anymore, the Federal Reserve note. We want Bitcoin. And so what are these countries? A country like the US, who has, for the last 111 years, been able to just create money, buy these products, and have them come over to the US. What happens when these countries start saying, we don't want US dollars anymore, we want Bitcoin, or we want a currency that's actually backed by Bitcoin? And then you're going to have so much demand coming into Bitcoin, because if that's the thing that everybody wants, everybody who creates products and adds value to the world, if they want a hard money like Bitcoin, then people, the consumers, are actually going to have to be forced to purchase Bitcoin and exchange whatever they have for Bitcoin to pay for those things. So not all dollars are created equally. The Federal Reserve note is worthless, backed by nothing, complete illusion, versus, say, the US Treasury dollar, where you could say, this is backed by Bitcoin, this is how much Bitcoin we have. And then the world, the free market, can actually value that currency based on what they actually have backing it. So I think that that's going to play out here over the coming years. That's my theory anyways, that the US Treasury is actually going to issue its own dollar, the US dollar equivalent. But people are going to know the difference then. They're going to say, what? Why does the US have two currencies now? And then they're going to ask Google, they're going to ask Perplexity. And Perplexity is going to say, well, the Federal Reserve dollar isn't really backed by anything. It was created in 1913 by a bunch of rich bankers, and nothing backs it anymore. So it really has no value. And then it's going to say, on the other hand, this new dollar, the Treasury dollar, or the dividend dollar, as they'd like to call it on the US debt clock, it's backed by Bitcoin. It's backed by gold. It's backed by energy. And so what's going to happen? The perception is going to shift. This dollar isn't worth anything anymore. Why would I accept that? Why would I take my time and energy that I create products with, or that I provide a service for? Why would I accept something that somebody else can print and it's fake? Why not accept this new dollar? And so all the value is going to flow from that old system into the new system that's actually backed by energy. So that's my theory on what's going to play out here. I don't know a time frame on it or anything like that, but I mean, if you look at the US debt clock.org, one thing they've been talking, whoever runs the site, I don't know who it is. I'm guessing it's somebody who has some sort of influence somewhere. But you can see here the new money revolution. The US dividend dollar, 100% reserve. So to me, you can see these things. It says 100% reserve, a golden age. So it looks like gold, silver, copper, and I'm guessing Bitcoin's going to be a really big part of that. And then you tie in things like, why would they be having a strategic reserve? Why would they be making such a push for all these different stable coins, stuff like that? That's what's playing out, in my opinion, anyways. I could be wrong, but I don't have any reason to think that. So we'll see. We will see. That was kind of a long-winded answer there, Nav, but kind of glad we got to talk about it. Okay, we got a couple more zaps here to Arnie Boy's wallet. Somebody sent in 420 sats and said, is 10:30 too early from Jay? 420 sats. So I think Jay's wondering if it's too early in the morning to be pretending it's 420. I mean, if it was 10:20 or 11:20, it's 420 somewhere, just like our guy Alan Jackson and Jimmy Buffett would say. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 420 somewhere. So cheers, Jay. And somebody sent in 100 sats. I wouldn't say that it's too early, depending on what you have to do today. If you're working today, then yes. If you got to get a workout in still today, then yes, probably too early. But if you got nothing to do, you're on holidays, I don't think that's too early, personally. Sure. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Okay, so we're making sales here. Jake is making sales here. Good to see. Freddy Krueger only matters in your dreams. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that guy either. Pseudo sounds butthurt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should keep more up to date with these comments because I usually talk about something and then half an hour passes and then I bring up the comments to them. Haters hate themselves. That's true. You know, there's so many great people out there. There's so many great people in this community here. And it's just love. There's so much love in this community. Just the fact that, you know, people show up here every day. People send in their hard-earned sats. They're very scarce and precious sats just to say thanks. There's no other community that exists like Bitcoin. I guarantee you that. And so, of course, there's going to be dipshits everywhere, even if they own Bitcoin. But yeah. And I think my response to that when he said he blocked me, I said, well, there's only two people that block people online. One, purple-haired freaks, and two, people who know they've lost the argument and don't want to be embarrassed anymore. Which one are you? So yeah, shout out to Pseudo, whoever that guy is. We will probably never see him again. We will never think about him again. And nobody more irrelevant than Pseudo. Hey, the boobs were mine. Thank you, Paul. Row of boobs, 3,333 sats. Thanks, Paul. Indeed, appreciate your value, unlike Pseudo. Well, Pseudo has clearly never watched the show. That's the other part of it, too. Clearly has never watched the show because he said that I spend too much time talking about Michael Saylor and ETFs. And anybody who watches this show regularly knows that couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, so we got a couple more zaps that I missed here. Big shout out to Shani. Shani sent in 2121 this morning before the show even started. He said it was for Robin's interview. And then we got 2,500 sats from our guy, Ian, Clean Your Machine. So thank you, Ian. If you face one dipshit in 100, that's not so bad. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's probably more like one dipshit in 10,000. So Pseudo can say that. It does not make it true. Yep, that's right. Classic keyboard warrior. Lapad says, good morning, Jordan. Living the future. I've been busy working 3 jobs for Bitcoin and working for Bitcoin. Wow. Good man, Lapad. That's okay. That's what life's about. But we got you, man. Anytime you need us, just remember that. We got you. Don't work too hard either, Lapad. You got to enjoy yourself a little bit, man. Jay says, can apply to any kind of work. Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Sabian says, everyone has opinion and none of them matter in the least. We are each responsible for our actions alone. That's right. Haters are heater all over the Bitcoin speakers. Look at all these nice words, Praetorian. Thank you, my friend. Carlos says, did you hear about the midnight release from Cardano? You might be eligible for some night tokens for holding Bitcoin. Really? Cool. Send me some night tokens anytime. I'm not going to spend 1 second looking into that. What the hell is this app? It's sending Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to somebody else. So you can use this if you have a Lightning wallet. You can send it to Arnie's wallet, which is this QR code. Or if you're watching on your phone, you can send it to 88 sats at speed.app, like our guy Ian did today. And somebody also sent in 360 sats to this 88 sats wallet. So thank you. But yeah, it's a way to send value to anybody else in the world over the internet using the Lightning Network. That's a Zap. I like the name Zap. All right, what else we got here? Samuel says, thanks to people like you and other Bitcoiners, I'm learning a lot of Bitcoin. Thanks. Of course. Thanks for, I mean, it's, you show up, we'll keep showing up. Is it an app on Google Play? No, I mean, one thing you could do is you could actually, what I would do is I would download the Aqua wallet, aqua.net. I'm going to type it in here for you. Aqua.net. Download the Aqua wallet. Write down your 12 words. You can send Bitcoin to your Aqua wallet from your exchange or from your Bitcoin wallet. And then you can actually swap it onto Lightning. So you can swap it from layer 1 Bitcoin to layer 2 Lightning. And then from there, you can put it into something like a Speed wallet or a Wallet of Satoshi or a Koinos wallet. And then you have sats on Lightning. You can buy things online. There's a lot of businesses that accept Bitcoin over Lightning. You can pay for VPN. You can pay for a Maple Bitcoin membership. You can zap the show. A lot of things with it. Bitcoin Nurse says, thought experiment. Did Bitcoin Jimmy really lose 7.4 Bitcoin, or is this an elaborate, I lost my Bitcoin in a boating accident? Just been thinking about the security incident. Yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter. Like that's kind of where I would leave that, right? It doesn't matter to us. It has no impact on me or you or anybody here. I think the main takeaways from it are that the issue itself is absolutely possible, where somebody downloads a fake wallet or a fake file, they put in their 12 words, and those 12 words are sent to somebody else, and they drain your wallet. Like that's something that probably happens every single day on the internet because people don't verify their software that they're downloading. And I'm guilty of that myself, but I usually double and triple check that I'm on the right address. That's why I like Nostr, because there's a web of trust on there that says, hey, Gigi recommends this app, or Odell recommends this app. So as the internet becomes more and more scary, I guess you'd say, it's going to be very important to have like a web of trust and people that you trust based on the proof of work and time that they put into the network here. So that's an important part, is you need to verify everything that you're downloading, especially things that you're putting your 12 words into. That's why I like these things, is because you never have that risk. You never have the risk of putting your 12 words into something, because this is disconnected from the internet. This is an offline device, never connects to the internet. And so this is why I tell people to get 2 cold cards, where you can take your 12 words, you can restore it into your secondary cold card, and you can verify the fact that the process works without actually having to put your 12 words on the internet and be susceptible to something like this. But the other part of this too is that I think it's important to note here, which is plausible deniability. Plausible deniability, which means Bitcoin Jimmy, maybe he lost his 7 Bitcoin, maybe he didn't lose his 7 Bitcoin. But the point is that you can actually say that you lost your Bitcoin, and therefore can avoid a lot of other things in life, penalties we'll call it, by pleading plausible deniability. So it's like, how do you prove that you actually have the Bitcoin? I guess until you move it, but at that point you could be in a different country on a different island and in a different place. So that's an important part of Bitcoin is like, you don't have to keep it on like an exchange. You don't have to keep it with a broker where obviously they know that you have access to that capital. Whereas Bitcoin, you buy it and maybe you lost it. Maybe you still have access to it. That's nobody's business but your own. And I know we're trained in a world where people think that you have to report. You bought Bitcoin, $50 worth of Bitcoin, and it went to 100. You have to report that on your tax return. Otherwise, they're going to come to your house and kill you. That's the world that we're born into. That's how they train us. Death and taxes. It's all just a fucking scam. The whole thing. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for this video today. But that's what somebody told me. That's not my words. That's what somebody once told me, is that everything's a scam. And I don't know if I believe it or not, but that's what I've been told. Nomenclature. The devising or choosing of names for things, especially in a science or other discipline. I got you. Nomenclature. Okay. Nomenclature. Jeff says, can you have multiple cold wallets access the same seed phrase at the same time? Like having a tangent and a ledger both at the same time, having access to the same seed phrase? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Just announced, Rumble is activating Bitcoin Lightning payments for creators. Let's fucking go. We can get out of the rants and the rumbles. We can turn that into sats. That's pretty sweet. I saw that today. I forgot to even add that to the show notes today. So it looks like it was Sats and Sunset that sent in the 360 for episode 360. And they said, trying to zap from Strike for the first time. Well, she worked. So thank you, Sats and Sunset. And somebody also sent in 555 Sats. So thank you. Thank you very much, as Elvis would say. All right, moving on. Sabian says, have any of you seen some of the numbskull welfare recipients working in government? They're all leeches. They're all leeches. Julio says, we got a month till Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high. Keep buying. Yeah, historically, I actually saw a graphic the other day talking about showing the fiat price of Bitcoin. And it looks like August has historically been like the worst month in Bitcoin. So yes, it is a good time to be buying, because this fall, I think we're going to be in for a very rude awakening in terms of how she's going to fly. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to look on Amethyst, because Josh says that Amethyst is working. Okay, so let's go to live. See, it's not working for me. I don't see my stream on there. Anyways, sucks to suck, I guess, Jor. Yeah, what a movie that was, the Titanic. Sabian says the U.S. and Federal Reserve are literally foreign pirate corporations, legal fictions. Exactly. Samantha says, yeah, I heard of the Titanic mess. It was shady. Yeah, there's a lot of shady shit that happened there. Powell said no interest cuts. They know the bubble is close to bursting. Yeah, they can't. They're stuck. John says no, it won't. There will always be plenty of sellers. Really? Okay, that's an interesting thought, John. Appreciate the feedback, but you're wrong, my friend. You are wrong. Because again, there's not always going to be sellers, and it depends what you're talking about in terms of selling it for. Not everybody is going to want fiat forever. It's just reality. Like if you look at even in the last 5 years, how much knowledge has changed, how many more people are aware of the Federal Reserve, of the fiat dollar. These weren't terms that were ever talked about before 2020, other than like a very, very, very small fringe group of people. But now it's like mainstream. Fiat dollar is a mainstream term that people say. And it takes time to understand the problem. It takes time to understand that there's a solution. And it takes even long. Oh, Fox just ran by. It takes even longer to get into Bitcoin. But you're not going to be able to exchange sats for fiat dollars for very much longer. There might be sellers, but at that point, you're going to get way less sats for whatever it is you're trying to get. You're either going to have to trade your time or a real asset for Bitcoin. Nobody's going to take fake pieces of paper for the hardest asset that has ever existed in human history before. It just won't happen. It's not my opinion. It's just common fucking sense. Why would somebody trade something that can be printed out of thin air for the hardest money that has ever existed before? It's just the disconnect is widening. And as it widens, there's going to be less and less people willing to trade fake paper for Bitcoin. So yes, there'll be sellers of it. You're going to be able to spend it on it, but you're not going to be able to sell it for fiat dollars forever. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Buck52 says, I'm worried cash will be outlawed. I mean, it probably will. As the whole thing plays out, like countries are going to go into full panic mode. Full panic mode. So the good thing is that Bitcoin, in my opinion, is actually a better version of cash. If you know what you're doing, if you know how to transact privately in Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a better version of cash. Yeah, Bitcoin Nerd says, I can tell you right now, if China cuts us off of our medical supplies, we would be totally screwed. 99% of our medical supplies I order are made in China. Exactly. If anyone tries selling oil in anything other than the US dollar, they will be the next country that needs a regime change and freedom. Yeah, it's happened before. And it will probably happen again. Sharon B, not the clock. Yeah, we're not wrapping up yet. Don't worry, Sharon. Don't worry. This isn't on Jerry's show. Every time he shows the clock, that means that the show's over. But we were just talking about the Federal Reserve note versus the U.S. Treasury dollar that's coming. Julio says, definitely 420 right now in L.A. Nice. I was going to celebrate 420 on here, but I figured it was probably a bad idea. Bad for the brand. Old School says, saw an X post saying Rumble will be integrating Lightning for tips. Yes. Good. Another good reason to be over on Rumble. We got 50 people over on Rumble and we got 31 likes. Could we get to 1-to-1? Should I go on strike again until we get 1-to-1? Nah. What's with nostr and all the scam accounts? Yeah, I know that's a problem. Definitely a planted story. They don't want people to self-custody. Most news stories are plants. I 100% agree with that. BTC Pleb says, my guy, you got to hit up Lake Satoshi. Much better user experience than the Bitcoin conference. I believe that. It looked like a good time. I was doing a little creeping around on nostr yesterday, and it looked like a great time. And it's not too far from me either. I'm pretty sure it's in Michigan, right? BTC Pleb, do you know like the approximate location to it? I want to see how far of a drive it would be for me. Hey, Matt's here. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you, man. Jay says, never looked into it, but in line with the Bitcoin Jimmy conversation, my insurance covers up to a certain amount of lost crypto. Really? I don't know how you insure that. I guess unless you're using the Anchor Watch. But I don't know how else you'd insure it. I don't know how to insure it myself. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Good luck finding mine, Carney. Exactly. I never report myself to foreign corporations. Good man. Or a woman. Albin says, what do you think of Litecoin? You know, Litecoin is actually really useful. I'm pretty sure Litecoin was used as like a test net for Bitcoin because it's built very much the same. But in terms of a store of value, it's not a good idea compared to Bitcoin. You know, some countries might utilize Lightning. Some businesses might prefer Lightning or Litecoin, I mean. But again, it's not a good store of value. If I need to use Litecoin in the future, I will swap my Bitcoin for Litecoin. But I'm not going to store my value in anything other than Bitcoin. So in that sense, it's kind of a waste of time to talk about. Morrow says, we're probably the most advanced creatures in the universe, yet we pay worthless paper to Keynesians that printed that very worthless paper. Save in Bitcoin, focus on your craft. Bingo. Bingo, bango, bongo. Hey, we got some new members flowing into the Maple Bitcoin School community. Nice to see. Nice to see. And if you're not a member over there yet, let me tell you about it. School.com/Maple Bitcoin. You can pay a monthly fee or you can pay a lifetime membership in sats. If you would like to join, get a hold of me, or you can just join using the website there. And we got 150 members over there from around the world. Our goal is to have one Bitcoiner, at least one Bitcoiner, maybe 5 in every country on the planet. And so we want it to be a huge network of Bitcoiners, of people who are on the same frequency, interacting with each other, learning from each other, helping each other, collaborating with each other, building with each other. And again, I keep saying this, but I think your network and your reputation are going to be your most important asset in this coming decade. And, there's no better time than today to start, because the only way that you earn trust, you earn your reputation, is by putting in the work, by time. So don't wait for the time when you need a Bitcoin community. Join one now and start interacting on there, start building people's trust. And it's going to be magical. As the fiat system continues to implode, you're going to need a community. You're going to need a network of people who are, again, on the same frequency as you. So that's a beautiful thing about things like Living in the Future and Maple Bitcoin. And not just the network aspect, but also the education. There's so many things to know in Bitcoin. It's not that hard to take self-custody of your Bitcoin the right way, but there's so many different things to know about. There's so many different things to look out for. And having a community, you stay informed. You stay up to date. That's how we found out about the Sparrow wallet last week, is somebody sent a message into the Signal chat and said, hey guys, there's a fake Sparrow wallet in the App Store. Do not download it. So it's hard to follow. It's hard to follow on X, Nostr, Reddit, wherever you get your news from. It's hard to get everything. But when you're part of a community like Maple Bitcoin or like the Living in the Future community, you can stay on top of things and you're not going to get swindled. And this is another point too. Like, we've been doing master classes on Maple Bitcoin. We've done one on lending against your Bitcoin. We've done one on buying Bitcoin. We've done one on securing your private keys. And the last one we did was actually just talking about the Bitcoin network itself, the network versus the currency versus the blockchain. And that was Forrest, Rajat, and myself. And we do once per week, pretty much. We've been doing these 1-hour masterclass sessions exclusively for our school community. So I wanted to bring up this little graphic here because I think it's a perfect time for it. Because again, it does not matter how much Bitcoin you have today. It's irrelevant. You can brag, you can think that you're doing well, but it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how much you and your family have on the other side of this transition in 20 years from now, 50 years, 100 years from now. And so it's up to you. You're the person who's here. You're the person who's responsible for that Bitcoin, and you have to take it seriously. And there's so much shit to know. And so you have to go through this with other people. You cannot do this on your own, in my opinion. And I've tried. And the best decision, the best investment I ever made when I got into Bitcoin was joining a community. It cost me $85 per month. And I was in a much different, much worse financial position than I'm in today. And I still realized the importance of that and joined. And it was the best decision for me. Because here's the thing. That little green splice there, that's the stuff that you know. We'll keep this Bitcoin focused here. That's the stuff that you know. The shit you know you don't know, that's a little bit bigger. You might not know about the difficulty adjustment. You might not know about multisig and how to do that properly. You might not know about running a node. A lot of things you might not know. Passphrases. And you know that, but you're working towards it. But then the majority of this circle here, this pie chart, is shit you don't know that you don't know. And that's where you're going to run into problems right there. Because shit you don't know, you're kind of working towards that. You're trying to learn that. You might be using AI. You might be hiring somebody to help you with it. But it's the shit you don't know. That's what you need to worry about. So when you're part of a community like Maple Bitcoin or like Living the Future, that's when you find out some of this stuff that you don't know. It's important. Not enough people are taking this shit seriously. And I come up here every day and do my best to try to explain why it's important. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. So big shout out to the 3 people that have already joined the Maple Bitcoin community this morning. It's a good place. It's a good place. Lauren says, don't like the idea of lost my Bitcoin, therefore you owe me a donation on my... I agree with that. On my GoFundMe page after the announcement of losing all that Bitcoin. I agree. And that's why I don't... I always have my walls up first. I'm very guarded in terms of giving my sats to people. Like when there's different fundraisers on Nostr and it's from somebody I've never seen before, I just read it off. And that's another reason why your reputation is so important. Because if you've never put any proof of work in my eyes, if you don't have a reputation, I've never interacted with you before, I've never met you in person before, I'm going to act much different towards you than somebody who I have met in person before, or who I have sat on a Zoom call with for a couple hours or once per week for the last year. Like that's the importance of your reputation here and the proof of work part of the Bitcoin network. All right, Josh, what do we got here? Josh says, Jor, I already know you know this, but for the record, fuck these haters. They're just jealous they haven't put in the work to be relevant, except hiding in the basement of their pewters. The real ones follow you as their beliefs align with yours and for the education on Bitcoin and Bitcoin related issues. I'm fucking Gen Z. We invented the internet. I'll battle them in the comments. And yes, McDonald's used the same coffee supplier Tim Hortons used to use before they were bought out by that food giant that is now only profit focused instead of quality focused. Fuck Tim's. Their coffee tastes like liberal piss, or so I was told by a liberal crybaby. Sorry for the spam. Oh, no problem, man. No problem. That's the kind of shit that I'm here for. Oh, man, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to our guy, Josh. Johnny's here. Good morning, Johnny. Okay, so now it says there's 10 people watching on Nostr, but I can't see it myself. So I can't see the chat. So if you're watching this on Zapstream, I'm sorry. I can't see anything. I do see the zaps coming in, but that's about it. I can't see the messages. So I apologize. Shinku's here. Good morning. BTC Pleb says just outside Lansing, Michigan. Okay, so let's look this up. Lanesburg, Michigan. It's Wednesday today. I got to save my voice a little bit here. Today's actually the day we film our master classes and videos and stuff for Maple Bitcoin. So I got to save my voice a little bit here. I need to retain it. Okay, Michigan. Where's directions here? Maps. Directions. What do we got here? Oh, 18 hours. Never mind. That's I can't drive there, that's for sure. Although that'd be a fun road trip. 18, that's not that bad, really. Not that bad. It'd be a little further for me, actually. But yeah, it looked like a good time. So again, if you are wanting to join the school community there, it's very simple. school.com/maple-bitcoin. Should be in the chat there for you. And I'll put it in the pinned comments for people watching later as well. All right. Somebody just sent in 69 sats. Nice. Julio says, watch the new Ice Cube movie, War of Worlds. The plot is the government destroying its own satellites and leaving its citizens in the dark. Is this scenario what happens to the blockchain? Oh, in this scenario. Well, if they took down the satellites, the Bitcoin network would probably stop working for a while. But every person who's running a node right now, like myself, we would have a copy of the blockchain. And so when everything started working again, we would know who owns what, who has the private key to what. So I actually don't know what would happen in that situation. If nobody was able to mine Bitcoin, what would happen to the blocks? I don't know. If nobody was able to solve the equation, what would happen to the blocks? But most importantly, the ledger would be maintained. There would be 25,000 plus copies of the ledger around the world that we would have a starting point. I don't see any scenario like that. I really don't. I think that if the internet went out, if the satellites went down, money would be the least of our worries. So it would be shitty for everybody, including gold holders. So that's kind of their big thing, is like when the power goes out, we're going to be able to use our gold. It's like, no, you're not. Nobody's going to give a shit about your gold. People are going to want food, lead, and water. Nobody's going to give a shit about gold. Gold bugs I resonate with because they've understood that there's a problem in the fiat system, and they've actually taken action to store their wealth in something other than fiat, which is gold. I think besides Bitcoin, gold is probably the best place to store your value. So I'm on the same page with gold bugs at that level. It's much better money than fiat. It's the best store of value besides Bitcoin. But it is not going to have any sort of use in like a doomsday scenario. And there's a lot of gold bugs that really are weirdly hoping that happens so they can be vindicated. And it's like, nobody's going to give a shit about your gold. Nobody. You come to my house with 20 ounces of gold and I have a stake here, I'm choosing the stake because I don't know when the power is going to come back on. The government's not going to send out a letter to everybody or hand deliver a letter to everybody and say, oh, just a brief pause in the internet for a while and the power, but it'll be coming on. You can expect your service to continue in 3 days from now. No, that happens. There's going to be so much chaos, so much uncertainty. Anything that you have, food, water, lead, you're not going to give that away for anything because you don't know what's going to happen next. People like fantasizing about this doomsday thing, like a Mad Max world, but it'd be absolute chaos. And gold is going to be irrelevant. Bitcoin will be too. But again, when the power comes back on, that's when we'd be able to see who owns what, right? Because that's an important part of Bitcoin to understand too, is that Bitcoin never really leaves the Bitcoin blockchain. It's not like it goes from my laptop and I send it to your laptop. That's not what happens there. It's just data. And the data moves back and forth on the blockchain. And the only way to move that Bitcoin is to have the private key to the wallet. If you have the private key, you can move Bitcoin. If you don't have the private key, you can't move it. But it doesn't move anywhere. It just changes ownership. The private keys move. So in that case, we'd have a perfect, pristine ledger of where to start. I don't know what happened with the blocks. But anyways, yes, and liquor. That's a good point, Rocky. Liquor and probably food, water, lead, liquor, and probably some weed. That would be the most in-demand products, I would say. MPC says, hey, Jor, I got a random question to ask the chat. Okay, well, MPC, I'm going to tell you this. The questions that are answered are either Zap or they're on Rumble. But we'll give you one free pass here. But in the future, we'd like you to move over to the other stream here. If you can. If you want to be part of the chat. We got over 50 people over in Rumble right now. And that's where we take the comments from. But new face, we'll give you one here. One free pass. Is there anyone out there that has a spouse or significant other that does not know that they're partners into Bitcoin? Oh, asking for a friend. I mean, there's a couple different things to get into with that. It's like the first thing that I would say is the number one rule in Bitcoin is never tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. And that could be applicable to your spouse. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to share with your spouse and what to keep from your spouse. That's none of my business. But go under the rule of never tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. But the other part of that too is like, if you're watching this in 2025 and you have some Bitcoin and you're not married, maybe you're single, you have to be very, very, very cautious of what you tell your new lover, right? Because there's going to be a huge slew of women and probably men too, the equivalent of gold diggers, or I think we called them last night coin diggers or bit diggers or miners. But you're going to be in very high demand as a Bitcoiner. I'll just say that. Like, you're going to be in very high demand as a Bitcoiner. The banks are going to want your business. Countries are going to want you to live in their country. Women are going to want you to be their lover. So you have to be very careful. I would say that if you're in Bitcoin now and you don't have a spouse, be very careful in terms of the information that you share with others and their intentions. Because if somebody knows that you have, let's say, half a Bitcoin, if that gets out, and all of a sudden you have 10 girls waiting outside of your house, are they really there for you, or are they there for your Bitcoin? And this scenario is absolutely going to play out. So you have to be very careful in terms of how much information you share, who you share it with. And it's important. If you're here now and you've had a spouse kind of before the big run up, before Bitcoin gets to $100 million per coin, then you're good. They liked you before Bitcoin. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who like people because of their sats in their wallet. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Jared says, hey, dude, my dog was diagnosed with a tumor on his heart a couple weeks ago, so I've been out of it, but I'm going to follow up with you again this week via email to set something up. Damn, Jared. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's shitty. I'm very sorry to hear that. Hopefully everything's okay. That sucks, man. But yeah, don't ever apologize for that or feel bad. Just whenever's good for you, man. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Jared. That's fucking brutal. Alvin says, could you explain nostr? I mostly use X today. Is it kind of the same? Yeah, kind of. I mean, nostr is a protocol, though. Nostr is a protocol, just like Bitcoin, just like the internet. And so there's no real, there's no like Twitter. There's just different apps that are built on top of nostr. But nostr is the best. Take some time to learn about it. You're going to need it going forward here. Morris says, as long as we have the last honest block synced, we can continue with soft or worst case scenario hard fork. Yep. Rick says, good job on smashing the like today. So somebody, I'm not on YouTube here, but yeah, there's been some people in there. Sounds like we got the likes. Again, the channel's really taken a big hit, view-wise, revenue-wise, since we joined the other side, but worth it. Death upon death upon death. Bitcoin Nurse says, this is going to sound dark, but the currency will be my bullets and my blade. People will take what they need from the weak. In a world after world war, worldwide nuclear war, EMP fallout strikes. I mean, yeah. It's like, here's the thing for me. You could spend all day literally worrying about this kind of stuff. You could go down all these different rabbit holes. You could spend all your time thinking about what could go wrong here. Or you could spend time growing and spend time being optimistic. And, that's the one thing that I love about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community is like, there's a lot of hope here, right? Like Bitcoiners are betting on a functioning society. Bitcoiners are betting on a better world. They're betting on things working, technology improving, satellites expanding, the cyberspace multiplying in terms of like the GDP of cyberspace is going to grow significantly. And the currency of cyberspace is going to be and is Bitcoin. And so that's why, to me, it's like, again, you can spend all the time worrying about what could happen. And I just think it's a waste of time. I'm betting on a functioning society. That's why I hold Bitcoin. Heavy on the food and weed. Grace says, I'm 44 years. My wife knows everything. We are a team. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. That's how I look at it as well. You have to find somebody who's on the same page. I think if you're in Bitcoin and either your spouse doesn't know about it or they don't like it, I think that that's a problem. And they don't necessarily have to be like on the same page as you in terms of like how invested you are in terms of your time, but they have to understand that we're playing the long game here. They have to understand that we're going to make some sacrifices for a while so we can live better in the future. And they have to be okay with listening to Bitcoin podcasts before you go to sleep. Right? I think it's important, though. I'm right there with you, Gray. I think that's one of the most important decision you'll make in your life. And you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That includes your kids, too. You have to, in my opinion, you don't have to tell the amounts. That's the other part, too, especially to your kids. But you don't have to share the amounts. You just have to be on the same page. You have to be working in the same direction. I think that's so important. Sats Diggers. Like that one too. Sat Digger. Julio says, my wife almost divorced me 4 years ago when I was aggressively buying Bitcoin. Nowadays, she's madly in love. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. That's the thing. It's not easy. I personally don't need to get into my own love life here, but let's just say the last relationship that I was in, I shouldn't even say that. There was more at play than Bitcoin. It was the whole COVID bullshit. But anyways, I can't say she knows I have Bitcoin, but there are/will be signs. They'll marry you to make sure your Bitcoin performs a halving, but not the epoch, the e-pocket. Ian says, I have a hard enough time dealing with my wife, let alone 10 women outside my house. I think I would have to resort to some lead. Yeah. Or a big, and if you're single right now in Bitcoin, make sure you invest in a good baseball bat for that reason. Because there's going to be a lot of people outside of your house, women and criminals. Invest in a good baseball bat. Samantha says, bit diggers, no spouse, do not care for finding someone who does not have Bitcoin, not worth it. Yeah, see, that's the other part of it too, is like if you're single right now and you were to meet somebody, and let's say you've been in Bitcoin for a year or more, you probably have a decent amount of Bitcoin. And it might not be displayed in terms of fiat right now, but you have a very sizable amount of Bitcoin. And so usually when you get into a relationship where you want everything to be kind of equal, on the same page, on the same level, contributing the same, it's going to be very hard for that other person to catch you in terms of sats. And so it's going to be tough, I think, for a lot of people to say, you know, we're going to start this relationship, this journey together, but I'm contributing way more than you'll ever even think of contributing. That's why it's not a conversation in terms of like how much you have ever, because you don't want them to know how much you have at that stage. There's lots to it. There's lots to it. What is the minimum amount of you should have in exchange before transferring to a cold storage, and why? Rocky, I'm going to share this with you just for future reference. There's a link there for you. Minimum amount you should have in exchange before transferring to cold storage. So this is the list that I came up with today, and I'll probably make something a little bit more elaborate for this. Look at that, horrible. This is like 6:30 a.m. in the dark writing here. But I would say if you have less than 5 million sats, this is kind of my guide that I had that I was going to talk about today. But it's been almost 2 hours and I didn't even get to it. 5 million sats, I would say if you have under 5 million, just keep stacking. Don't spend your money on the cold storage yet. You can take self-custody in something like an Aqua wallet, which I think is a good learning experience for sending Bitcoin to a wallet, for writing down your 12 words, for protecting those 12 words without having to spend money on a device. You can instead invest that into more sats. I think if you have over 5 million sats, you should definitely have a device. And you can start with a single sig. And I would, if I were you, I would get 2. I would order 2 of these. If you got more than 5 million sats, order 2 of these. Put your Bitcoin on one of them, generate your keys on one of them, restore your 12 words on the other one, and then just reset it. But that's going to it's going to be a way for you to make sure that your 12 words work, that you can actually restore it, and you can practice on your backup one, your secondary cold card. You can learn different features on here. You can play with trick pins. You can set up passphrases. You can do a bunch of different stuff with your backup one. That way you don't have to put your stack at risk. So that's what I recommend people do. That's been my new piece of advice is get 2. You're ordering a cold card queue, just put 2 in the cart. And again, the reason for that is because you're going to be 2/3 of the way now towards a multi-sig, which is so that's for people with 5 to 10 million sats, single sig and a practice device. So 2 cold cards. And then 10 million to 50 million sats. I recommend people use a single sig wallet like a cold card with a passphrase and also running a Bitcoin node. And you know what? What do we got for time here? Should I just put this up here? I feel like I should. Okay, so we got another zap here, 420 sats. Somebody said most Bitcoiners will never become sovereigns, not for as long as they cheer for crypto presidents and Wall Street scammers. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I definitely cheer for crypto president myself. But you can cheer for crypto presidents and you can also be sovereign. It's not one or the other. Because I would much rather have a crypto president than a president who hates crypto. I'll tell you that for free. So that's what I would say to that. But thank you for the sats. 420, nice number today. That's the theme today. Maybe we should pull out the 420 for exclusive show. Could you imagine? And the Bitcoin nurse sent in 2121. Great number there. Says, from the Bitcoin nurse, you are 1000% right about being careful sharing your Bitcoin holdings. There's going to be a lot of regret. There's going to be a lot of regret in friendships, in relationships, because once you tell somebody, you can't put it back in the box. That's why I talk about this stuff so much. Is it's not something that you can undo. You can undo a lot of things in this world, but you can never untell somebody something, especially to that magnitude. So thank you, Bitcoin Nurse, my man. All right, so let's bring this up. Let's go through this. 5 to 10 million sats. Where is this? Entire screen. Okay. By the way, yesterday I ended with that Coinbase commercial. No sound. We started the show. I think it was Scotty who said we ended the show just like we started it. So we went 2 minutes yesterday's show with no sound. And then we finished. We finished the show 2 minutes without sound. How do I zoom in here? Zoom. Let's make this larger. Oops. No, that was supposed to be for all this. What number? 21. Let's do that. 5 million sats. 5 to 10 million sats. 10 million to 50 million sats. And 50 million plus sats. That's a little too big. Maybe not. Yeah, it's a little too big. Too much. No 17. Shit. 15. Okay. AB says wrong. You tell everyone you lost your Bitcoin in a boating accident. That's right. Okay, so 5 million sats here. This is going to be a guide for security based on how much Bitcoin you have. And you notice here that I didn't use any 0.05 Bitcoin. It's sats. 5 million sats, 10 million sats, 50 million sats. We speak in sats. Sats are the standard. Sats are the only thing that actually exist in Bitcoin. So you got 5 million sats. My advice, keep stacking. Keep stacking and use the Aqua wallet. You could either use Aqua wallet or just leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. And if you are leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange, I would recommend 2 in North America. In Canada, ShakePay. In the US, River. So one thing you could do is you could actually leave some on the exchange, put some in the Aqua wallet. As you learn about how to send and receive Bitcoin, as you learn what a private key is, as you write that down, as you protect that private key, your 12 words, you can slowly start moving more and more into your Aqua wallet. But when it's sitting on an exchange, it's basically like an IOU. It's like deposited in a bank. It's not actually your money. It's not actually your Bitcoin, but it's safe. You're not going to lose it there. Of course, unless everybody goes to the bank at the same time and tries to withdraw their money, or everybody goes to the exchange and tries to withdraw their Bitcoin. But in the meantime, very short term, I think it's okay to use the Aqua wallet or leave it on an exchange like ShakePay or River. 5 to 10 million sats here. What I would recommend is a single SIG device, like a cold card Q, and I would actually get 2 of them. One that you actually store Bitcoin on and one that you use to test out your recovery phrase and also just practice on. So one device is actually going to store some Bitcoin for you. The other device is just going to be a practice device that, again, you can make sure your 12 words, you can restore it into offline and you can practice. You can play around with it. You can use small amounts, learn about all the different features on the cold card. But I would suggest getting 2 of them there. 10 to 50. I'd say a single SIG device, like a cold card Q. And I would also add a passphrase on top of that. And I would also add a Bitcoin node. So there's many different ways you can run your own Bitcoin node, plenty of ways. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive. If you're strictly using it to run a Bitcoin node, I don't think you need to invest in something like a Start9. But if you're going to be using the Start9 for other things, like I use my Start9 for storing information, private information, passwords, I use it to buy Bitcoin using RoboSats, which is a way to buy Bitcoin peer-to-peer. There's a bunch of different things you can actually do with the Start9. And I'm going to be utilizing a lot more in the future as well. So I kind of want to just get the hang of it, learn how to do it before that time comes. But you can run your own node for very cheap these days. You can also flash Start9 onto a device. So do a little bit of research. Start9 is always sold out. So what I would say to that is make sure you keep an eye out. If you are somebody who's going to be looking for Start9, I would visit this site often. See, it's sold out right now. Both the Start9s are sold out. This is what I use to run a node, but you don't have to. Again, this is pretty expensive. It's $900 US, but it's more than just a Bitcoin node. Only use this if you're going to be using it for other things. But that's what I would suggest is a single sig device with a cold card queue, passphrase, and potentially encryption. So something like super backed, something like our 21 sats security inheritance protocol, potentially work towards that anyways. But if you have 50 million sats, you should have a multi-sig. 2 of 3 or 3 of 5. If you have half a Bitcoin, 50 million sats, the minimum you should have is a multi-sig, and they should be encrypted. You have no idea how valuable these sats are going to be in the future. And again, kind of what I started the show with today, it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have today. It doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant how much Bitcoin you have today. The only thing that matters is how much Bitcoin you have on the other side of this transition. So in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, how much Bitcoin your family is left with. And it's up to you today to take on that responsibility. So you cannot be taking shortcuts here in Bitcoin. So that's kind of my guide that I would say for people. It's not necessarily based on like the fiat price of Bitcoin. It's all based on how much sats you have, because 10 million sats in the future is going to be more than 99% of the people have. 99 point something percent of people have. And so if you had something that less than 1% of the world has, wouldn't you want to protect that as best you can? And you don't have to wait for the fiat price to tell you that. You can start doing that today. And so that's kind of what I would say is like if you're, and this isn't like a hard cutoff, obviously, like if you have 11 million sats or 9 million sats, you could still get into a passphrase in a node and encrypting it. But these are just kind of my general thresholds in terms of Bitcoin security. So I hope that helps. All right. Didn't I say I had to retain my voice today and take it easy on the show today? I got some shit to do here. So I think I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you for all the love today, all the support as usual. It means a lot to me. Comments, the compliments, the thank yous, the zaps. It keeps me going here. So let's get to the end of these comments and then we'll hit the road. Julio says, how do I follow you on Nostr? How do I follow y'all on Nostr? So there's a couple different things. I would say I'm going to start putting my Nostr NPub in the show notes and in the zap or the pinned comment. I need to be better at that. I'm kind of shitty at it. I'm not going to lie. I just have too many things going on. And I'm a one-man show. So I'm going to put my NPub in the show notes and in the pinned comments. So you should be able to find that right after the show today, Julio. And you know what? Maybe I should do it right now before I forget so you can get it. Because you're not going to want to come back here. After the show's done, you're not going to be back, realistically. So if I go to Jor... Jor, try this again. I mean, you could probably just scan this. That might work. Try this, Julio. That's my nostr npub there. But I should be able to. I thought there was a thing that came with it. Where is it? Jeez Louise. Zoom out. Zoom out. There we go. Okay, so you can scan that. That'll take you to my nostr page. And I'm going to copy that. I'm going to take this down. That's what I should do, actually, is because if I put this, I could put this on screen too. It's a little bit easier, I think, for people to actually scan if they wanted to send some sats into the show, because Arnie's wallet's kind of small at the top there. So this is the Lightning address. And in the meantime, I'm going to put my npub in the show notes, and I got to remember to do that every day. Okay, so, man, there's been a lot of people subscribing the last day. I think people coming from Robin's video. Got a lot of really, really good feedback on that. I thought it was a good chat. I didn't really think that people would like it as much as they did. Okay, so my npub is now. Oh, shit. No, it's not made for kids. Get out of here. So the npub's in there now. And I'm also going to put the, oops. I'm also going to put, how can I do that? Oh, we'll leave that for now. So there you go. That's the easiest way to do it. I'll put that, that should be saved in my video here today. So if you're watching this later and you want to follow me on nostr, you can either scan this, or you can look in the show notes in the pinned comments. I'm going to have my nostr npub in there. Oh yeah, I got to crack some freaking windows in here. It is hot, hotter than Africa. Gray says, "Yep, kids too, but they don't know how much. That's for later after the wife and I are gone." Good call. Oh yeah, I got to crack a window here. We got about we're over 2 hours already, but we can probably do another. We'll go another 5 or 10 minutes in here because I got a few other things I want to talk about. So we're not quite done yet, folks. I got to open this window though. All right, that breeze feels nice. Oh, God, that's better already. All right. Ian says, my wife wasn't in the Bitcoin, but after listening to you in the background for 6 months, she can't buy enough now. You definitely orange pilled her. Thanks, Jor. Well, big shout out to Ian, and big shout out to Ian's wife for putting up with it. Because again, it would be pretty easy, I think, for people who don't really understand what's happening here to just say, hey, Ian, you're an idiot. Jor, this guy's a dipshit. What are you guys talking about? But so shout out Ian, shout out to Ian's wife. That's awesome to hear. And somebody also zapped 2,100 sats from the Lightning address I had there. Maybe I should do that more often. Make it easier for people. BTC Pleb says, nice to have multi-sig from 3 different manufacturers. True. I use Cold Card. They're my favorite manufacturer personally. But yeah, I could see your point there for sure. Cold Card Seed Center Foundation. That's probably the best setup, honestly. I like Cold Card, so I stick to that. Lauren says, I need to learn how to be a diver with all these boating accidents. Yeah, no doubt. Morrow says, I have no Bitcoin. It's legal in my country, and I comply with the government. They say Bitcoins are a danger to the economy. That's a guy taking the hard path, that's for sure. Huge shout out to Morrow. Huge shout out to Morrow. Oh, there you go, Keith. Or Kev. My bad, Jor. MPC is Keith. Gotcha. No problem. Gray says, everything that you need on Start9 here. Knots, mempool, lightning channels, management, wallets, datum, public pool. We should actually come up with a list for people who are brand new to a Start9, which apps you should have on there. I think that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do a video about that even. Which apps? It was Daniel actually who helped me set up my Start9, and he told me which apps to download on my Start9. That's a good idea. I should do that because I also have, what else am I running on mine? I have BTC Pay Server, which I haven't used yet. Of course, you need Electris to run a node. Nextcloud, I think, is pretty cool idea. It's basically data storage, but to your own server. Nextcloud I like. And I use Vault Warden as well for keeping information, passwords and stuff like that. Look at this. Scotty says only 41 million people can have 50 million sats, less than the number of millionaires. Yeah, realistically, what would you say the amount of people who could actually own 10 million sats are? Like there'd be a maximum, of course, mathematically, but then if we know that Sailor has 620,000 coins, BlackRock has 700,000 coins, or BlackRock's clients. So you have to take that out of the equation. A lot of them are lost. Some of them belong to Satoshi. So it'd be interesting to see how many people could realistically get to 10 million sats. It wouldn't be that much. Eric says, hey, Jor, love the channel and the Patreon. Learning a lot. Could you tell us the difference between your channel, your Patreon, and the Maple School? Yeah, so pretty much the main difference right now is with Maple School, obviously Rajat and Forrest are involved with that. So it's a little bit more money because there's 3 of us. There's more value being added to the community there. I like school myself. I'm probably going to move all the Patreon. I'm not probably going to. I am going to move the Patreon over to a new school page eventually in the future. But kind of the main difference right now is like the Patreon, the Living the Future, they get access to 365 days of Bitcoin, which is my favorite course. That's the video that I do every day. That's the video I've been doing for 215 days in 2025. I think that that's the most value. I also put my 21-day Bitcoin journey course. I'm adding it to the Maple community, so there's a little bit of overlap there. But the only place you can get the 365 is on my Patreon. Maple School, you get stuff from Rajat, from Forrest, from me, exclusive content. And then the 3 of us also come together for some exclusive master classes, we call them, which we're going to be doing in an hour from now. I don't know why I let myself do this. Jeff D says, enjoy the content. Thanks for all the info. Keep it up. Thank you, Jeff. Matt says, come down to the Williamston Fair this weekend. Check out my mobile bookstore and have a chat about Bitcoin and my new book. Matt, I still got to read that book. I'm sorry. Actually, in August, I'll have time to read it because I'm taking it easy. You might notice a couple less videos than usual on my channel. I'm trying my best to enjoy summer here before it gets to be minus 40 again. 42. What does 42 mean, Scotty? What does that mean? Oh, I don't want that on there. That's my Start9. Stop. Sharing so much info here. Okay, exit that. What happened here? Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say here, shout out, we got a couple new subscribers here today. BTC Pleb. Yesterday we got MK3 as a new subscriber. We got Elise, Beyond Normal, and Bitcoin 444, our new subscribers on Rumble. This is what I was going to say, because we started the show today with, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything on Rumble. We started the show today with Jake's hat. Beautiful hat. This is the same hats that I use for King Golf. They're the 110s. Nice Bitcoin hat. I'm going to bend the peak a little bit. I'll probably wear this tomorrow for the show. This one's limited edition, 8 of 21. The Signal version anyways, with the nice on the back. I love this. That is so sharp. We tried like embroidering things on the back and it didn't look as good, but I love this. So the point is, like we don't have any sponsors on the show, right? But I still think we have a big enough stage now where we should actually, it's kind of a waste not to be promoting stuff. So I just wanted to say, if you have like Matt here, if you have a business or a product or something that you would like for me to promote, I'll do it for free. Like you can send me some sats if you want to for value, but I'm not going to like charge anything for people. And the reason why I don't have sponsors isn't because I hate money, because I would be much better off financially if I accepted sponsors. I don't hate money or sats. And I understand that if I took on sponsors, I could use that money to buy more sats. But I think it's very important that I'm not influenced by companies, by products. I want to give people the information I think is most accurate, not based on who's paying me the most. It's a very fiat system, in my opinion. And there's a lot of Bitcoiners who have fallen into that trap. But I'm not going to judge. I'm just saying I'm not going to go down that road. But I am happy to promote things like Matt, his bookstore. I'm happy to promote things like Jake's hats. And I want to promote other things. So if you do have something that you would like me to share, whether it's a website, we looked at Ian's last week, Ian's website for card detailing. And I'm happy to do it. I really am. It's not that I don't like promoting things. It's that I like retaining my own voice. And so you can shoot me an email with whatever you have. You can send me a product and I can show it on the channel. Or you can just, do whatever you want. And again, I'm not going to charge you anything. You can send me some value if you'd like, but I'm happy to promote that. And I'm going to be promoting a little bit of my own stuff more often, I think, on here because it just makes sense. And it's stuff that I believe in. I think that it will be beneficial to other people. But again, I'm not going to be taking on any like monthly payments from companies. I'm just going to promote the products that I like. And that's probably going to include like the Chroma lights. It's going to include Start Nines. It's going to include cold cards, which I already promote a lot. And Lactigo. Lactigo as well. So I wish I had my referral link there. I don't think I deleted it. But there's been a couple people here in the community who have tried out the Lactigo stuff and have ordered again, which means that it's working. And so I wanted to test the market first. I sent out some samples. I've been listening to feedback, and I really wanted to make sure that everybody was enjoying it as much as I do before I promote it on the show. So that's what I just wanted to mention. If you do have anything you want me to promote, feel free. Just shoot me an email here, bitcoincitadel@net. And I'm happy to promote Bitcoiners' businesses. I think it's the future. Everybody's going to be their own business. So we might as well use this platform that we have here, as small as it is. I think we should utilize it a little bit more. Samuel says, if I want to give my child sats, what is a good option to give them? I don't know. Good question. QR code says not usable data for nostr. Nice. Moro says, no, Jor, not hotter than Africa. It's 120 joules in this motherfucker. Video on the apps would be great. Okay, I'll do that, Lauren. I'll try to remember that. Or I'll put it in the school community, one of the two. And living in the future. Gray says, Vault Warden, yes, and maybe Albi for advanced users, but yes to all the above. True Bitcoiners will do them all, I'm sure. Have a great day, Jor. Thanks, Gray. Appreciate it, buddy. Watching Bitcoin rise and the government's fall is a very exciting time for me. No doubt. No doubt. 42 million. Gotcha. Orville says, my note is just a used mini PC, 2 terabytes hard drive, flash start 9OS, all in about $250. There you go. Really good way to do it. If you're not as lazy as me, I just don't have time to figure it out. That's my whole thing. Is like, am I going to spend 5 hours learning how to do that, or am I just going to buy it and plug it in? So that's Eric wants some bucket hats. I actually have a really good idea, and I wish I could share it with you guys and girls. I might actually share it with Jake, because I think I have a really cool idea for some Bitcoin stuff. But anyways, I'm not sponsored by Cold Card. No, definitely not. I'm just a very happy user. Very happy user. Thanks for shouting me out last week. No problem, Ian. I very much appreciate it. And that's why I have no issues. It's like Ian has given so much to this channel, so much support, that it's an absolute no-brainer. And that's literally the definition of value for value. So I'm happy to promote. Don't abuse it, though. And I don't think anybody would. But yeah, I'm happy to do that. So I'll maybe have some more information for everybody on Lactigo tomorrow once I have my link. But we don't have it today. All right. Somebody sent in 50 sats. I'm guessing that was Buck52. Thank you, Buck52. And if it wasn't you, you get the credit for it at least. So we're going to wrap things up. I got to film some more videos here in an hour, so I need to get my shit together. I got an itchy nose. People are going to think I'm on cocaine. Anyways, Arnie's wallet, channel wallet. If you don't have the means financially, you can like, you can share, you can comment, you can make sure you're subscribed, and it all helps. It all together, combined, collectively, keeps this channel going. So big shout out to everybody here. Thank you for showing up, especially to those people in Nostr and Rumble. YouTube, we still like you, but get over to the other platforms ASAP. So I think the king today, Zap King so far, is going to be Josh again with 8,888 sats. So you can, after hours, try to outdo Josh and become tomorrow's or today's Zap King. So thank you once again. Have yourselves an amazing hump day. For those of you who zap today, that's the rules. If you want to get a hump in today, you have to send in a zap. And so congrats to everybody who sent in a zap. You're in for a nice treat today on hump day. So have a good day, everybody. Great day. Maybe the best day of your life. Hopefully the best day of your life. And enjoy yourself. Be the guy. Protect the sats. And enjoy the ride. Because the only thing more precious, more scarce than Bitcoin is, of course, our time. Oh, DCA. Almost missed it. Thank you, Scotty. So it is August 6th today. We had 2625. And that was from Scotty Too Hottie. And we also had one from our guy, Duncan. So we got, this was Scotty's, was the lowest today. Scotty Too Hottie. And Duncan was one sat higher today, 2626. So the Bitcoin price hasn't moved much in the last week, 25.28, 25.33. We're at a standstill. We're chopping sideways, which means we're probably going to go up or down. So hold on to your hats. Thanks, everybody. Have yourselves a great day, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.